back from a mission trip to Kenya. They performed dozens of surgeries and already have plans to return.
Doctors and nurses traveled to Kenya for 10 days on a medical mission trip. They say this important work helped more than 100 people.
There are children who survive because of this kind of service. But there's a lot of questions as well.
When he returned, he worked with Evan Dean to share what can only be described as life-changing for both doctor and patient.
Without speaking the language, without understanding their own culture, it's very difficult to make a lasting impression.
Medical mission trips are powerful and they'll impact you in ways that you can't even imagine.
Is it effective to treat a child for malaria, but not to address bed nets to prevent that malaria?
This is The Scene in S.T.E.A.M. with Jade Frederick.
Moriah, Jade. Hello, welcome to The Scene in S.T.E.A.M.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you could come, right? You do so much. I feel like you've been doing so much since the first week. Like, they're like, who wants to sing? And you're like, oh, I saw you live.
Oh, that was a while ago.
But no, you've always been, I feel like, very dedicated to pursuing your passions and still, doing well in school. You sing, you're co-president of the HIPSA, you do mission trips, you travel all over the world.
Oh, please, Jade. No, it's not all over the world, please.
I mean, it seems like all over the world. You're practically like you're bilingual at this point anyway.
Oh.
But in all that, like traveling and all your, your mission work, your work with the community, how has that kind of impacted your view of healthcare and patient care?
Okay. So, it's interesting because I feel like I was exposed to the mission world before the healthcare world. Mm-hmm. It also was one of the factors that kind of pushed me towards pursuing a career in medicine and starting or doing more mission work while I was in medicine, like actually throughout medical school. It kind of reminded me of actually, honestly, and probably the most obvious answer is the privilege that we have, even though healthcare system is very rough to say the least out here, but there is a lot that we have access to, whether it's resources, the actual professionals, and the tools, the technology that we have here is something that we sometimes take for granted. Yeah. Being outside of North America has reminded me of how health literacy is so super important. Mm-hmm. And the education that we might get here might be different from out there in terms of healthy lifestyle. What else? The need is great. Mm-hmm. The need is huge. And then also doing mission work has reminded me of how much cultural things that you've grown up within your family, how they are integrated in medicine as well, and how it plays such a big role in big decisions that you have to take, if you have to do a surgery or if you end of life care, culture plays a huge role in medicine. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's definitely being on missions has helped me decide to go into a career in medicine, but also has emphasized the need that it's important to go out and not just kind of stay put where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. And I think those are things we don't even think about as students, but different cultures have different ways they approach sickness, the way they approach death, mm-hmm. the reasons they come to, the conclusions they come to about why someone is sick. Yeah. And I think that's definitely something that's not always at the front of our mind when we're caring for patients. So, yeah, I think it's really important to have that insight. And as far as language barriers go, translators, mm-hmm. We talked before about, we'll have a translator on the line and you can understand a little bit of Spanish and things and you're listening to them. You're like, no, I said 10 weeks, not 10 years.
Yeah.
How do you think, the language barrier and things like that affects patient care and how we kind of interact with patients?
So I've seen some really, really rough interactions in the hospital with people trying to speak Spanish, and it's shameful. It's actually so bad. And then I've seen on the other side of things where a patient will be so incredibly relieved to know that someone on the team speaks their language. And like that's happened to me even like on one of my rotations, and I'm like, hold up, like I'm not that great, but I can do a little something. And like you can just see it on their face, just like a sigh of relief, like I'm not gonna be here stranded, like people are gonna like attend to my needs, like oh thank God, like they really like look up, like oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. It's important to like have someone, like at least if it's like a phone interpreter. It's better if it's like over like FaceTime, and it's even better if it's an in-person interpreter to have, because like even like you have some questions, and if you can't kind of judge like how the person is understanding you, you don't want to like pry more. You're gonna be less curious, or you're not gonna voice those like concerns because you're not sure how the person's gonna take it or how they're gonna respond. So there's just like these little notions that you're not able to like catch if you don't necessarily speak that language. So I feel like it's really important. And if it's possible, then definitely get an interpreter, because I've seen some rough situations. Yeah. Or definitely it's easier said than done, but you know, try your best to learn the language too, at least the basics, because it makes a difference.
Duolingo is there.
Yes, do Duolingo. I'm actually terrible at Duolingo.
Yeah. I know, I've been trying, struggling and trying, but yeah, I mean, I think that's really important, and I think like especially kids too. Like sometimes kids know the language, but they're like kids know English, and their parents don't, and sometimes you know it's easy to just like, oh yeah, let the kid translate, but you're like, kids should never be translating their medical information.
Yeah, especially if it's like a private like conversation. It might be like a little awkward for the parent in the room too.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's really important to have that as, you know, someone who's really benefited from going on, you know, mission trips, and hopefully you've seen the benefit in the communities that you go to. You know, sometimes we say sometimes like more harm than good comes out depending on your motives. But like, what is your advice to students who are debating going on mission trips or thinking about mission work?
I would say do it. Do it. Even if you're nervous. I definitely was in the position where I was really nervous after my first year. I knew nothing, like very much baby medical student. And I just remember preparing to go and like thinking about summer plans, and everyone had their plans out and doing research this and research that, which I love for you. Like I love everyone who's into the research field. Someone has got to do it. Yeah. But I was like, I need to be outside. I need to be outside because I need to be like, that's how I keep saying. Like I can't be locked up in one place for too long. So, you know, it might be a leap of faith. Like I really went to Honduras, with no like proper cell phone signal. Like it was really scary. It was nighttime. I spoke a little Spanish, but I trusted the people that were helping me out. Yeah. But I say like take a leap of faith. Do something that, you know, you'll remember. You'll have memories. You'll have stories to share from. And you think you're going to like make an impact on them. Everyone says this. But it's like a two-way street. Like you are definitely impacted as well. You learn about yourself a lot. I learned a whole lot about myself. I probably won't be doing solo mission trips in the future as much, but I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot, and it was inspired by the people who decided to like graduate and stay there. Like that was like super encouraging for me to see. And I have tons of memories from it, and I always look back on like my time in Honduras or like the different mission trips I've been on, and it's always been like good memories. And if you go as a group, it's honestly so much fun. Yeah. Like you build memories, you trauma bond. There was that time in Mexico we all got sick. Oh yeah. We don't have to talk about that any further. But it was definitely a bonding experience, and I recommend it 10 out of 10. Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, Moriah, you are Miss Adventure. So I applaud you for going by yourself, but I think if you can go to a group, that's such a valuable experience for both you and the community there. So yeah, it's a good time. Well, Moriah, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for having me, Jamie. You're such a natural. Wow.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of The Scene in STEAM. I'm Jade. If you'd like to help out students studying science, technology, engineering, art, and math, please check out the links below. And I hope you can join us for the next episode.